Welcome to Blush the Podcast. With so many new BL series coming out, who has time to watch them all? But don't worry, I got you. I'm your host, Ray. Every week, I'll be providing episode summaries and commentary on old and new series for the busy BL girl. And at the end of each series, I'll give a rating too to help keep your watch list slim. I'll also give updates on news like upcoming series, ships, and whatever else pops up. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Blushed. Hope everyone is doing well. Once again, I am recording this in the wee hours of the morning. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like impossible to start working on this before like 11 p.m. Anyhow, I know that I am normally loud AF on these recordings, which I apologize. I have very basic equipment, so we're working with dust here. But this week I have developed a bit of a summer colds, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's probably more likely allergies because baddies have allergies, right? But anyhow, if it's too quiet or my voice sounds really weird or it sounds different in some parts than it did in other parts, that's because I usually record on different days because I am the queen of procrastination. But we're going to see if we can get this all done in one go so it can be uploaded on time. All right, so last show, I spent this segment of news slash yapping, at least that's what I call it in my notes. I spent this time talking about Kim Jira, the series, because it seems very interesting and different, and I have developed a one-sided love with one of the actors. I don't know how to say his name yet, so I am not going to butcher it because that's really going to ruin our relationship. But today, I want to talk about an intro video that I saw for The Boy Next World, starring our favorite ship, Boss Noble. Also, I'm really working on getting the nomenclature for these videos down because I've seen intro, trailer, and pilot, and all of those are very different. Like, this intro was like a minute and a half long, and it didn't tell me anything, and the trailer is normally a little bit longer, it gives me a little bit more of a glimpse, and the pilot is literally like a straight up like 10-minute episode that sometimes tells you the whole story and sometimes it doesn't, but I will get it right. I'll get it right one of these days. So in the intro video on YouTube, we see it is pouring down raining and Boss's character is sprinting down the street in the rain. No idea where he's going. We see Noel's character in the house in like some onesie pajamas. I don't know how old this character is supposed to be. The onesie really got me, but I digress. Looking out the window, being like, damn, it's really raining out there. I'll just stay inside. Logic, right? And then suddenly someone rings his doorbell and he's like, coming, which makes no sense to me. Maybe it's because I'm a woman and I live in the States, but if it was pouring down raining and it was dark outside the middle of the night and someone rang my doorbell, I would not go open it. Stranger danger. He opens the door and it's Boss standing there staring at him, and Noel is standing there staring back. And Boss goes, what if I told you that you were my lover in a parallel universe? Would you believe me? And hugs him super tight. Very cryptic. So based on what I saw, I don't know if I'm really hooked, but it was only a minute and a half. I guess there's no point in trying to defend it. They could have put more stuff in there to make it a little more eye-catching, but I don't really know what the main premise of this story is. I know a lot of these BLs are based off of, I guess, light novels or comics, but I'm not a huge reader, so I have not seen any of those or read any of them for that matter. But because I really enjoyed Boss and Noel and Love in the Air, I will give this one a chance. So we will stay tuned for the pilot, I suppose. That would be the next thing that's coming. It says coming soon, but I don't know what soon means. I think we all have different ideas of what soon is. In other news, Battle of the Writers started airing this week. It aired on the 29th, which was a Sunday, so I guess it'll be airing weekly on Sundays. And from what I can see, it's going to be on YouTube, so hopefully it won't be as difficult to access. I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, but hopefully soon. Speaking of watching new Thai dramas, I started watching This Love Doesn't Have Long Beans or Love No Long Beans. I guess it depends on who's translating it. I watched the first two episodes and I was pretty much hooked from the very beginning. So much so that I had basil stir fry for lunch after watching those two episodes. Like, I was inspired. I'm really enjoying the different personalities of the actors as opposed to the drama that I've seen them in before, which was Pit Babe. So seeing them in these roles that are kind of opposite of what they're playing, like the actor, I don't know his name, the actor that played Pete Allen is playing Obe. It's like a complete opposite because Alan was so nice and so sweet and so soft spoken, and the chef is literally an ass. Jeff was super depressed in Pit Bay, very quiet, and I mean, don't blame him. I don't blame him. I knew he had a lot going on, but Juan is so out of pocket. He is hilarious to watch. The side characters as well, like the guy that played Kenta in Pit Babe, I really hated him as Kenta, but as JJ, he is a beast. I love him. I'm rooting for him. And Ben's, oh my god, I actually know his name. I didn't really like him that much in Pit Babe, and he is a straight up villain in this drama. So I really enjoy that it's showing like the different acting chops of everyone since it's very different than what I've seen them in before. Now, given after this episode, we're going to be about halfway through. We are, since there are 16 episodes. This one is quite long. It is a pretty long drama, and I want to finish it. I do, and I'm going to finish it. But after this, I just want to give like more diversity in the podcast, and I want things to go by a little bit faster. So, as much as I want to talk to you guys about This Love Doesn't Have Long Beans and other new Thai BLs that are coming out, I also want to just touch on some Korean and Japanese BLs that are so much shorter and will probably go by like way faster so we can have more seasons so you guys don't have to listen to me talk about We Are every week. I also just want to share a lot of my like comfort BLs as well because I go back and watch these over and over and over again, and just to have another excuse to watch them would make me so happy. And if I'm happy, then we get better podcast episodes, right? Right? Okay, the last thing I want to talk about before we get into We Are episode 8 is actually kind of related, I guess. I found a Pond fan site on Twitter and I've been following her, and good God, she takes amazing pictures of Pond. Amazing. So I just wanted to talk about briefly the Apex Beauty Clinic Pond event. He looked so good. So good. Like chef's kiss. Wouldn't change it, wouldn't change it. Also, I'm starting to see a pattern that these actors are really young, and they keep getting younger. But you know, that's okay. That's okay because I'm not a creepy fan. I'm not a creepy fan. But I did not know. I knew that Pooin just turned 21 because I tweeted about his birthday. I've been trying to like fill up my Google Calendar with actors' birthdays as I learn them. But I didn't know that Pond was not that much older and he's like 23 or 24. Crazy, crazy. I think I let the height confuse me because some of them are just like so tall. Or maybe it's the fact that they start acting so young, I guess, because I know that they've been in a bunch of series before, so I guess I just assume that they're older because they have some career experience behind them. Whatever, that's besides the point. Alright, now let's get into the main event. Quick recap of episode 7. You know the drill. If you want to hear my full summary of what happened, go back to the previous episode. Man, this vocal fry is killing me. Ugh, hopefully I don't sound insufferable, but not really much to go through, right? Like, I feel like the previous episode that I did on this was long because there was a lot to unpack, but really the only thing that happened is Q found out that Toy had feelings for him. He found out that he was the milk frappe boy. They had a misunderstanding, and then Q finally came to terms with his feelings, but somehow Toy and Q have not come to be a couple or talk it out yet. So at the end of episode 7, Q went to go make up with Toy and invite him to eat dinner, and they almost kissed, and that's where it stopped. We start episode 8 with Toy asking Q to reconcile with him by making a pinky promise, and Q says that he's fine, they don't need to make up, but Toy is adamant about making the pinky promise, so Q obliges, but then immediately starts teasing Toy. They go down to the canteen to get some food, they're eating together, and everything looks good, and Pim is watching from the distance like a proud bestie, so glad that they've made up. But I really think he needs to be figuring out what's going on with Poom, because you're not in the clear. Don't think we forgot about that, buddy. We can never have a touching moment in the show because as Pim is looking on, like, from a distance to Toy and Q, Matt shows up, like, what's going on, scares the shit out of Pim, so he hits him, and Matt does what? He pretends to faint. He seems really good at that. After class is over, the squad meets up at their favorite meeting spot, Pim's aunt's house, to check with Toy to see how things are going with Q, and Toy basically says he's not sure. Seems like it was going fine. I mean, they ate, but they also didn't talk about anything or really clear the air, so I guess I could see why he feels that way. As they're all sitting and talking, Tan shows up with the engineering students and Fong. Pim asked why did he have to bring so many people, and Tan was like, the more the merrier, essentially. If we have more people, we can brainstorm better. Also, they know Toy. Fong pipes up and says that Poom has informed him of the situation, and his solution is to punch Q, where everyone's like, whoa, 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 please, relax. Technically, we haven't got to this information just yet, based on where I am in the show, but Fong is like a gangster, so we'll talk about that more later. After the slight threat, Tan asks how everything is going. Pim says he's not really sure how it's going. He says Q admitted to him that he has good feelings for Toy, which was news to Toy, so he's like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, oh, well, he has good feelings, and the one time that Mick opens his mouth and actually makes sense, he says, if Toy likes Q and Q likes Toy, why don't you just date already? And that is my sentiment exactly, okay? Even though this is a drama, we've had the drama. The pot has been stirred. Why can't we be a couple yet? Someone please tell me. Everyone thinks it's good that Q has admitted that he had some positive feeling for Toy, and Pun suggests that they should strike while the iron is hot, leading Poom and Pim to gulp because I guess they don't really know what he could be thinking since he has had some wild ideas thus far on how to make this thing happen. Very bravely, Toy declares that he is going to make a move on Q, to which Matt is like, are you fucking crazy? Have you lost your mind? You were just crying over him the other day. Now suddenly you want to make a move? With this newfound information that Q has quote-unquote good feelings for Toy, he feels energized, right? I guess he feels like he has a shot. I think Pim feels that Toy misinterpreted his words a little bit, because when Toy said, Pim, you said Q has feelings for you, right? Pim's like, he said he feels comfortable around you. And Toy just took that shit and sprint away. So Pun says that they should carry on with the plan as is. Chain's like, why do I have to keep pretending to hit on Toy? Like, Q already knows it's a sham. How is this gonna work? I'm not seeing the progress. I'm not seeing the movement forward. Pim says he thinks that they don't need a plan anymore, which is probably the correct train of thought, and that they should just talk it over directly with Q, but give him some time to, come to terms with his feelings, sort it out, whatever, and then, so don't talk to him right now. Toy's like, hell no, I've been in pain all these years, I want to clear it up, and I'm gonna go full steam ahead, and I'm gonna show him that he's messing with the wrong person, and that we're gonna be together. After talking such a huge game, they go back to campus. Pim goes with Toy to where Q is in the studio, and Toy completely chickens out. Like, one look in his direction, and he was terrified, like, squeezing the shit out of Pim's arm, like, oh my god, Pim, help me. serves you right, because you were talking all that shit and you've been scared to talk to this man for what, like 2 or 3 years? You've been his mentee for over a year, and you just now told him that you're Milk Frappe Boy and that you like him, and now suddenly you're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna make him fall in love. Bro, no you're not. No you're not. So simmer down. Pim texts the group chat and says that they need to know what the next steps are in the plan, and Pun's like, bet, I got you, I always come through, I'm gonna have a surprise for you guys later today. Which should be scary in itself, because we don't ever know what's going on in Pun's head. Alas, I was right. They all gather down at the canteen waiting for Pun, and he shows up to inform them that they are going to a volunteer camp in some small town, village, not really sure, and I'm not gonna butcher the name of the place that he said. Everyone immediately is groaning, they don't want to go, yada yada yada, and Pun's like, too bad, because I already signed you up, the professor already approved it, and I'm the camp president, so that's what we're doing. After giving a brief summary of the activities they're expected to do during the volunteer camp, Pun lets everyone know that there are not enough recruits for the camp, so they need to start recruitment. And he hands everyone a stack of flyers to go around campus and hang up. They break off into pairs. Tan and Pim go to the engineering facility. Convenient, right? Because we know that they're going to run into Poom and the whole squad is going to show up to the volunteer camp. It's so predictable. We also have Chain and Pun going to the School of Dentistry. That is where Chain is studying, and they, of course, have to be together because they're a couple. And last but not least, we have Toy and Q going to the Fine Arts faculty to hang up posters. And some comic relief to break up the tension, they leave Matt there to pay for all of their drinks. Which, by the way, nobody fucking drank. Like, there's a table full of, like, 6, like, completely full drinks. Why didn't you take them with you? I know that's not important, but like, this is a serious question. Like, refreshments like that here are a little pricey. Like, I'm not just gonna take a sip and then leave it. First up, we're following Q and Toy hanging up flyers, and Q is not really talking to Toy, they're just walking around. So Toy confronts Q, asking him what's up with him. He's been so up and down and he can't keep up with his mood swings. Q says he's not mad. Toy's like, can you act normal then? Can you stop doing this? Q is like, what is normal? I don't know what normal is. But Toy is asking if Q is uncomfortable around him, and Q doesn't really answer that question. What he does instead is starts teasing Toy in the manner which he normally does, and then runs off. Because I feel like every time there's a serious moment in this show, somebody does something really goofy and they play this like happy-go-lucky music in the background. I don't know if I like that. Like, I know they're college students and, you know, life shouldn't be that heavy when you're in college, but still, I need answers. I'm tired of this like cat and mouse nonsense between Toy and Q. Next up, we head over to the engineering faculty where Tan and Pim are hanging up flyers. Pim asks Tan why he had to come with him, and Tan says to leave Q and Toy alone so they could talk it out. Of course, as I already predicted, Poombeer and Mick show up as they're sticking the flyers on the billboard and are basically voluntold to do the volunteer camp. Tan asks Poom to invite Fong as well, but Poom says invite him yourself, which rightfully so. He's your man. You should be able to ask him to go on a trip with you. Tan sits there, and Delulu is the Salulu the way into the confidence to ask, because he convinced himself that this is going to be their first time taking a trip to a different province together, and that gives him enough motivation. So he tells Pim that they have to go to the architecture faculty right away. So they leave, and Poom, being like a puppy, follows, and he abandons Beer and Mick to follow Tan and Pim to the architecture faculty to go try to recruit Fong. Of course, as soon as they get there, Tan abandons Pim and Poon almost immediately because he says he's on a love mission. I respect it. I do. Pim then pawns off hanging flyers on Poom. And, I mean, he follows him, so he didn't really abandon him, but he just handed him all the flyers and told him to hurry up and start sticking since he wanted to help so bad that he followed them over there. Oh my god, I sound like a frog. I don't know if you guys could tell by the way that I retell the story, but I am actually recording this as I'm watching it. So it's like a reaction video without the video part. Hopefully by Saturday my voice will be back to normal, but I digress. Let's get back to what we were talking about. Tan finds Fong sitting outside working on an assignment, which is pretty on brand for him. I feel like he's always working on an assignment in the weirdest places. Because if I was an architecture student, I had to do drawings and build models, I would not be outside on a picnic table. But I'm definitely more of an inside girly, so maybe that's just me. As Poom said, Tan asked Fong to go to the volunteer camp, and he immediately says no, he's too lazy, he doesn't want to go. Tan carries on the way that Tan carries on, and eventually wears him down, pretty much by saying that he can't stand to be away from him for that amount of time. Jumping back over to Pim and Poom hanging up flyers, Pim pretty much says that Pun forced them to go to the camp. They didn't really have a choice in the matter, and they're going to the camp so Cute and Toy can spend more time together so they can eventually get together. But Pim asks Poom why someone like him is going to the camp since he doesn't think that he can really cut it. So they have a little banter back and forth, and Pim tries to walk off as he normally does, and Poom grabbed his hand and was holding it and was looking at him in the eye. So we had a little heart pounding moment there. Cute, cute. But who else appears in the background and seizes but that dude? His name is like Clun or whatever. I think I brought him up last episode, or I don't know what episode it was. I don't like him. And you guys will find out in the probably some point in this summary. I can't remember, but definitely in the coming episodes. My blood pressure is rising. Let me just keep watching. Poom asked Pim if he's heading home after this, and Pim's like, yeah, I'm going home. Poom says he wants to take some photos, and he wanted Pim to go with him, so Pim asked where, and he said near Pim's house. Of course, convenient. We got the taxi service running again. And right after they leave, Clun comes down from the stairs, and he starts looking at the volunteer camp, so you know he's going to sign up. This is really just going to be catastrophic for the development of Poom and Pim's relationship. So now we're in the park, I guess, so Poom could take his photos, which at this point I'm guessing is a hobby because he carries his camera from time to time. Somehow, taking pictures in the park has now turned into bike riding in the park. So Poom rents a bike, and of course Pim is going to ride on the back of the bike, tandem style. Reminds me of My Beautiful Man when they get in trouble for riding on the back of the bike. Should I talk about that one next? Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So they're riding the bike to the spot that Poom wants to take photos at. It looks like it's some bridge in the park, and he's just like, okay, wait, I'll take a few photos and we'll leave. Pim asks Poom if he likes taking photos, and of course, in a very dramatic way, he spins around and takes a candid of Pim. Pim starts to tussle with Poom a little bit, trying to steal the camera to delete the picture. Poom asks him if he doesn't like his photo being taken, and Pim says that's not the case. He just doesn't know if it's an ugly picture or not, and so he wants to check it out. Of course, Poom says, it's not ugly. You look adorable, which caught Pim off guard. At this point, I feel like Poom is just like a regular Casanova, and like all of this shit coming out of his mouth should never surprise Pim. Pim then offers to take a photo of Poom, not because anything weird. He just says that people who like to take photos don't have photos of themselves, which I feel like is really true, right? I take a lot of photos. I never have photos of myself. So he takes the photo, and Poom asks, how did it turn out? Is he handsome? And Pim says he's just so-so. Poom says, oh really? And steps closer, face to face with Pim, and says, take another look. Girl, I would have fainted. I probably would have fainted. Poom steps closer again after Pim says he's still so-so. Then Pim just suddenly gets awkward and leaves, just out of the blue. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really hate the like close-up face shots that they do in the show. Like, there are lots of scenes where there is a shot and the only thing in frame is the actor's face. It is very close and awkward. And I don't know if it's just me, but yeah, I don't really like that. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm staring the actor down when I'm watching the show. Like, I want to feel like a fly on the wall. Like, I don't want the POV. As Pim is storming off, Poom is like, hold the fuck up, you got my camera, give it back. Pim says that if Poom wants his camera, he should just come get it himself, and keeps walking. But as he's walking away, He's like smiling to himself, and they have the little like heart beating out of your chest sound in the background. And then Poom cracks a smile and like, please just date already. Like, what? I've only seen, before I started this series on the podcast, like I had seen through episode 10, and there's 16, so I haven't seen 6 of them at all. How much more can we pack into this before they become an actual couple? Because like they're practically a couple already without like the name. Like they're very much flirting back and forth. We know that they like each other. All right, so the next day is the recruitment day for the volunteer camp that Pun signed everybody up for, all in the name of getting Toy and Q to become a couple. As I said, Clun shows up. Oh my god, he shows up, he signs up for the camp immediately. Like, he has fucking radar. He hones in on Pim and goes and sits down next to him. On the other side of Pim is Poom. Of course, they're attached at the hip. They're always going to be together. It's like this guy, Clun, gives off like a bad aura. Like just a negative aura. Because as soon as he sat down, Poom kind of like grimaced and rolled his eyes. And that is the correct response. I know you don't know what's to come, but that is the right response, Poom. And then like Clun hits Pim with a, do you remember me? I hit your head the other day. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants you here. You don't even go here. And Poom is side-eyeing the whole situation. Once again, very appropriate reaction. I'm not going to summarize the whole exchange between Kun and him because whatever, you can go watch it yourself. But basically, he shows up, says he's applying for the camp because it looks fun, and he's there all alone. So Pim says he has tons of friends in the camp, and he introduces the whole squad. Basically, I guess, kind of giving him an invitation to hang out with them during the camp. I do appreciate that when Pim starts introducing Kun to everyone, that they're all kind of giving this look like, who the fuck is this guy, and why does he need to know who we are? We love having a shady friend group. After the recruitment event ended, we have a quick montage of the book donation for the camp, right? Because part of the volunteer camp is to go to the school and help clean up, paint, do all those things, but they're also donating a bunch of books for, I guess, like elementary and middle school kids. So that was cute, fun, merrymaking, and homeboy did not go because he's apparently an architecture student and very busy. Also, up until this point, I've been saying his name as Clun. I don't think that's the correct pronunciation, but if you're watching the show, you'll know who I'm talking about when you see him. He just has like, what do guys say? Like a punchable face. Like I wouldn't punch him, but I just don't like him. There's something about him. Tan and Fong also didn't go to the book donation event because Fong had assignments to do because he's also an architecture student, very busy. And Tan, of course, goes anywhere that Fong goes. Tan is on that real lover boy time. He's not gonna be anywhere that Fong is not. So following our lovey-dovey couple, we see them at the canteen, I'm guessing at the architecture faculty. They're sitting together working, and Fong asks Tan why he didn't go with his friends, to, of course, Tan replying, because I wanted to be with you more than I wanted to be with them. And Fong kind of tries to chase him off by saying being with him is really boring, so why would you want to be here? But Tan says it's relaxing to watch him work. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Like, oh, it just makes me want to like kick a table or something, because like Tan is just so in love with Fong that he just wants to be in the same space as him. Like, they don't even have to be doing anything together, and Fong really likes it. He's not good with words. He seems like really harsh on the outside, but he really likes that Tan is always around. Oh, I understand why they have so many fans. So later that night, after the book donation event had concluded, Poom went home to see Fong. So if you recall, Poom lives in his own condo, Fong lives at their parents' house. Since it's pretty unusual for Poom to come home, Fong pretty much immediately asks why did he come home. And Poom says it's because he needs to ask him a question, and he proceeds to ask him why does he like Tan. At first, it seems like Fong is a little reluctant to answer this question because he asks if Poom is looking for a serious answer, and Poom says, yeah, like, it looks like, pay a lot of attention to him. And so Fong answers the question pretty sincerely and starts describing all the reasons that he likes Tan, right? And he looks like super happy as he's describing it. So he does like him. Anyway, while Fong is describing that, Puma is over here in his own head having memories of all of the happy times that he has been spending with Pim. And he also looks very head over heels in love. While he's lost in this daze of his own thoughts, Fong's like, bro, are you even listening to me? You asked me a question. And Poom's like, yeah, sounds like you're really in love with Tan. And Fong's like, please don't tell him. That's pretty adorable. Why don't you want your boyfriend to know that you love him? Oh my god, that would make him so happy. Fong asked Poom why did he ask the question in the first place, and Poom very quickly dodged that question and said that he was going to go take a shower and go to bed. But Fong knows, I feel like Fong has known all along that Poom is eyeing Pim. I enjoy how they like to break up the tension with like these practically grown men doing childish stuff like painting each other and like splashing water whenever there's like some kind of like serious moment. So just like following Poom talking to Fong as he's trying to get his feelings in order, it's like the next scene that we see is them trying to prepare a banner for the camp, and everyone's outside and they're just painting and they're just really having a good time. The next time we see the entire group together, Pun is delegating the duties for the camp. So Pim and Poom are going to be in charge of classroom activities, and Pun, Mick, Fong, and Tan are going to be in charge of cooking for the camp. So that leaves Q, Toy, Matt, and Chain working on painting the fence. Oh, and I think I forgot Beer. I believe he is also going to be doing classroom activities with Pim and Poom. So from this point, everyone kind of disperses so they can go do their own thing. Mick and Pun leave, I guess, to go practice cooking or something. I don't know, but every time Pun goes somewhere with Mick, Chain is always in the back giving like a side eye because Pun is always putting his arm around him and they seem really, really like buddy. And I guess Chain don't like that, which is fair because, he obviously likes Pun. But besides the two of them running off, Poom, Pim, and Beer all go to the art supply store to get things for the classroom activities. While shopping, Pim asks Poom what he thinks is appropriate to buy for the students, and Poom says, buy whatever you want, and Pim says he's gonna get 10 pencils, like 10 sets of pencils, and Poom responds by saying, sure, that's fine. I could buy you everything in the store if you wanted it. I'm not there, but Beer is there, and he is just smiling to himself because he thinks it's cute. As usual, the fine art students need to go back to the studio to work, and they wrap up for the night. It's just Q and Pim, but so they call it a night. As Pim is leaving the building, who is waiting at the foot of the stairs for him? You know the answer, it's Poom. So Poom is waiting there for Pim to ask him to go eat dinner with him. And Pim says, you don't have any other friends? No, I have friends. I just want to eat with you. Oh my god. If I met a man like that in real life, I would just be no good. Because I'd be like, whatever you say. Sure, let's do it. Before Pim could really accept or decline the invitation, he gets a phone call from Pun asking him to meet him in the social study room in some building on campus, right at this moment. So I guess lucky for Pim, he had an excuse and he told Poom that he was no longer free and he just ran off, and Poom was like, wait, I'm going with you, and followed him. They get to the room where Pun is, and Pun asks them to help him pack the books for the camp tomorrow. And instead of the three of them packing the boxes together, Pun leaves to go buy them food because Poom said they hadn't eaten. So he literally just dipped. He called them for help and left them to do the work by themselves. Pun eventually comes back with the food for them, but conveniently his professor needed him urgently, so he couldn't help them finish packing the boxes. Poom and Pim take a quick break to eat food, and while they're eating, Poom discovers that Pim doesn't like the leafy part of the vegetable the same way that Fong doesn't like the leafy part of the vegetable, so they exchanged, which I guess made him happy, that they are the perfect match because Poom likes the leaves but he doesn't like the stems. After they finish exchanging their vegetable pieces so everyone has food to their particular palate, Poom reiterates to Pim that he really enjoys hanging out with him and his friends, and he really hopes that they can keep hanging out like this in the future because he feels at ease and he gets to try new things he's never tried before, and he gets to do all the things that he wants. So I think that's kind of hinting at maybe some stuff from his past, but we'll get to that soon-ish, I think. I can't really remember, but somewhere in there, Pim jokes that it sounds like Poom is confessing to him. I don't really remember what Poom said to make Pim feel that way. But Poom says under his breath, maybe I am, which stops Pim mid-swig of water, and he's like, what did you say? And I thought Poom would be brave and, like, say it again, but he didn't. He just said he didn't say anything. Boo. We were so close. Per our usual routine at this point, Poom gives Pim a ride home. And as Pim is getting ready to get out of the car, Poom says, if I call you, answer it. Pim is like, why can't you just tell me right now since we're together? And Poom says, just pick up my call. If I call you, I want to talk to you. So Pim goes upstairs to pack for the camp tomorrow, and all the while he keeps checking his phone every 2 seconds because he's waiting on Poom's call. And he's like, oh, he's not going to call. He just said that. He didn't mean it. He's not going to call. While he's waiting, Pun calls, so he was pretty disappointed to receive that call, but he talked to his friend, told him to go to bed early, yada, yada, yada. He takes a shower, he gets ready for bed, and he's like, he's not calling. What's wrong with him? Why would he say that? And then, lo and behold, Poom calls. Not only does he call, he FaceTimes him. And Pim had the nerve to pick up the phone with an attitude, being like, why are you calling me? I was going to bed. Bro, no you weren't. You were waiting for his call. And I know you can't pick up the phone like too eager. But you didn't have to pretend that hard that you didn't care. Of course, Pim asked Poom why he's calling him at this time of night. And Poom asked if, Pim was already done packing. And he wanted to ask his opinion on what he should pack for the camp. So they stay on the video call for a long time, going through each of the outfits that Poom was planning to pack, but Pim fell asleep probably like halfway through. But the way that this particular scene was edited was like, it started out showing like them on the phone, but then they edited as if Pim was like sitting on the bed with Poom while he was showing his outfits, which was really cute and adorable. But they also showed the progression of Pim getting tired. Like, he's laughing and yawning, and you can see his eyes getting droopy. So I thought that was really cool that they would do it with that particular kind of visual. But once Poom realized that Pim had fallen asleep, he just said goodnight and hung up the call. Back on Pim's side, he says goodnight, but he wakes up and realizes that he had fallen asleep. When he wakes up, he sits and thinks to himself, and he realizes that he's falling for Poom. Thank God we're making progress. He does seem really frustrated, though, coming to this realization. But either way, that's the end of this episode. Okay, that was exhausting. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it took me about 3 days to rewatch this episode to record this. Like, part of it is because my voice was leaving, so you can probably hear the progression of it sounding a little bit better over time. However, another big part of it is because this episode is not that exciting. I feel like not a lot happens in terms of relationship development. It's mostly about introducing Clun as a character and everyone prepping to go to the volunteer camp. So even though we did get like Fong gushing over why he likes Tan and Poom trying to categorize his feelings for Pim and then Pim coming to the realization at the end, other than that, nothing really happened in this episode. So it was a little tough for me to watch because it was a little bit boring. But this is the 8th episode, so I would probably say this is the first time since like episode 1 I probably wasn't as engaged, which I would say is not bad, especially since I know like the next 2 episodes are gonna have a lot in them. But yeah, so there's not too much that I have to say on this one, so I'm gonna kind of leave it at that and go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys for bearing with my raspy voice for a whole episode. I really appreciate it, and we're going to wrap it up here. The trailer for Monster Next Door came out, I saw, so I'm going to watch that, and hopefully we will get to talk about it in the beginning of the next episode. Since we are still sponsorless, today I want to shout out the Thai BL YouTube channel. that I literally get all of my news from on upcoming BL series. It is a list channel that I'm pretty sure if you're watching BL, you probably follow, and they are the GOAT because that is how I keep up with all the news as I am getting acclimated to the social media space. So I am starting to use Twitter a little bit more, and maybe sometimes I use Instagram, but most of the time I'm getting it from this account. So shout out to you. You are the real one. I'm gonna go to bed so I can get rest, so I can work on the next episode, and hopefully we can get back on schedule. So, goodbye, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Blushed. If you liked this episode, please leave a review. For drama recs or listener letters, please email them to blushedpodcast@gmail.com. Remember, stay rosy, and I will see you next time.